Welcome everybody. We are getting started. Okay, let me share my stuff out. Um, I'm still not super familiar with what all this stuff is, but we're gonna play some training games, um, and see how it goes. Actually, we're gonna change this. We're gonna take the chess personality test today, um, and see how that goes. So let's see. Chess personality. Let's take a look. What is your chess personality? I don't know if you guys have ever taken this, but I've taken this before, and it's kind of interesting. Um, where is the share my stream button? Okay, let's do this. Oh, that's why. I don't have Discord open. Whoopsies. Hang on one second. Let's get this going. So let's look here and here. All right, we're going to do this and streamer time. Streams and videos. We are getting started. Yep. All right, I'm just sharing this out to all the people. And let's get started. Oh, you guys can't see what I'm looking at, so let's change the scene. Full screen. All right. Let's take this quiz and see what this is all about. Okay. Let me move this a little bit so you guys can see what's going on. Which side would you rather play in the following position? Black to move. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So black is down a pawn, but I feel like I like black better. Oh, they do have the bishop pair. White is down a knight. So I think we'd like to play black here. Okay, when you play in tournaments, do you usually score consistent results, or do you often perform on the extremes, either really well or really poorly? I don't have pretty consistent results when I play. I typically have multiple issues. I either perform really well or very poorly. My last tournament, so far I've lost 3 games, so it's not going very well for me. Which best describes how you think about this position, the Sveshnikov Sicilian. Black has given up a critically important d5 square, or black has lots of potential for counterplay with the bishop pair and the f5 pawn break. I think I like the latter. I think we're going to go with B. Which statement is closer to the truth? I bring my best game when facing opponents I dislike. I don't really notice my opponent. I'm going to say I probably do a little bit better when I'm facing opponents I dislike. Now, it's tough to say because there's not a lot of people that I dislike, but yeah, I tend to want to crush the person that I'm not happy with, at least in the past. So, black has just played g5. Your first instinct is to retreat to g3, obviously. Do you play gambits? No, I typically don't. Um, I have in the past, but I don't play them anymore. Not really. How would you think about whether or not to take on g5 as white? I would evaluate the placement of my pieces and decide if an attack seemed promising. I would calculate several variations to decide if white's attack is strong enough. Um, I would probably calculate because there's nothing worse than trying to come up with an attack and not calculating far enough, and then your attack fizzles out and you're down a piece. And then you've pretty much lost the game due to a poor attack. You do get 2 pawns for the compensation and an open king side. So I would want to calculate all this. Under serious time pressure, are you more likely to miss a tactic or move pieces aimlessly? I am more likely to miss a tactic, as I did in my last game. I moved a piece and totally blundered in an endgame. I missed a tactic, and it was just... I was under serious time pressure, and yeah, it was not good. Okay, which of these ideas do you prefer as white? Okay. White should trade bishops and put a strong knight on d4. Okay, which will prevent any counterplay from back, doubling the rooks on the c file and defending c2. Okay. White should push d4 temporarily, misplacing black star-squared bishop, then start an attack on the king side with f5, where the black king sits alone. Bishop takes, rook takes, queen takes, or knight takes. It doesn't really retreat the bishop. It does support the pawn on e5. I don't know that I want to trade the bishops, but that bishop could be problematic in the event of a... there's a discovery there, so that's something we'd have to worry about, potentially. It would kick the bishop, but then you're putting another pawn on a black square. F5 would get really nasty really quick. But I like doubling the pawns and taking care of the C file, so I like putting the knight here, putting the strong knight. We're controlling more squares. We always can shift over to a king side. I'd like to improve our pieces. I think this is a better option. You start the game out with d4. Would you rather your opponent play d5 or f5? I'd rather them play d5. F5 goes into a Dutch. I know the Dutch lines, but I'd rather play a more solid game. If you are ahead, you've been ahead a pawn for most of the game, but after tough resistance from your opponent, you only have 5 minutes left in this position. Should you play on or offer your opponent a draw? Keep pushing for the win or offer a draw. You do have the pawn majority, and there's 2 different pawn islands. I think you're probably best to offer a draw here when you're in time pressure. It would be really... There's a lot to calculate in this endgame. It's really tricky. I'm not familiar with this particular knight versus knight endgame. You are up a pawn. You do control this square. So let's calculate king here, here, here. The king gets it, but then here, and it would be tough. I think I'd offer the draw because you've only got 5 minutes. It would be tough to figure out how to calculate all this in 5 minutes, especially after you're in really difficult time trouble. I'd offer a draw. There's probably a win there, but it's really tough to calculate in 5 minutes, right? Like, that would be so hard, especially as a class player. Which statement comes closest to your feelings? It's always a joy to be paired with someone you've crushed in the past. The odds of winning are slightly higher against opponents one has previously beaten. I like B. With plenty of time on your clock, what would you do in this position? Trade on e6 and play rook to d7. Trade on e6. Put a rook on d7. The endgame's favorable. Direct the knight to c3 via a4. Preserve a better minor piece. Invest some serious time calculating knight takes e6 and see if it knight takes e6 and see if it achieves anything concrete. I think that's the best way to look at it. Trading on e6 just without doing it. I mean, you can do this if you trade and then you move and they take and then you bring down here. They can immediately refute that by pushing here again, and then you can double up. I think you'd have to look at this. What do you think the famous saying chess is 99% tactics? At this level, in the class level, yes, this is probably most likely true. In the high grandmaster level, there's a lot more to it than that, I believe. Really, probably after expert becomes into a lot of strategy and opening preparation and things like that. So I think in the class level, this is most certainly true. How do you feel about the wild gambit line for black, white to move? No way am I trying to lose. I like my chances, and this will definitely mess with my opponent. That is definitely true. This is most certainly probably messed with an opponent. However, I'm going to guess that there's no way that I'm trying to lose. Whoa. My wife just told me that there's a fire at the hospital, so hopefully... I hope she's okay. I'm sure it's something minor, but... And she said this is the biggest dumpster fire of my life. Okay, after... That sucks. I feel bad that she's having a tough day. That's not fun for her, especially at the hospital. After losing a game, have you ever broken something yelled out loud? Yes. In the past, I've done that. I don't do that so much anymore in my older age, but yes, I have done this before. White to play in castle. Okay, king side or queen side? I'm going to say queen side because you can, all the pieces are pointing towards the king, and you can advance these pawns just, yeah, this is, I feel like there's a really good attack here. I get excited or nervous before a game. I don't worry about prizes, money, titles, or honors while playing. I just play my game. Yeah, I just play my game. I'm not really concerned with any prizes or anything like that. I mean, it's great to have prizes. It's great to win and stuff like that. But I just want to play and learn the game and get better. How would you come up with a plan in this position as white? Okay. Interesting. So consider the strengths and weaknesses of black's position to decide where my pieces feel best. Okay. I would calculate some line for white to see how strong the various possibilities are. Okay. I think I'd probably calculate. There's some definite pawn breaks here we have to consider. Yeah, I think I'd calculate. Which is harder for you to do? Identify my advantages in building a plan. Trade a good position for a strong attack. I think I'm fairly. It's not hard for me to create, identify my advantages and build a plan. I feel as though I have a pretty good tendency to do that, but I have a lot of trouble converting a strong position. And I've got the mad scientist. Hang on one second. I saw a crazy spider that is now gone, so nope. I need fire. Die. Okay, who did I get? I got the mad scientist. Mad scientist Wilhelm Steinitz is the mad scientist. Mad scientists believe in justice and principles in chess. I feel like that's pretty accurate for me. and use passion and calculating ability to prove their beliefs. The mad scientist is capable of carrying out brilliant attacks, but will only do so when he believes it is the right way. He won't normally play speculatively. I would say I'm pretty accurate to that. More often than not, the mad scientist is the one facing an attack. He is willing to do that if he believes the attack is not objectively correct. Mad scientists are also experimenters, trying different ways to expand their horizons in chess. I would say that's pretty good. So I'm a little bit more emotional than calm. Seems as though I'm quite calculating and quite solid, more than aggressive, and I'm a much more positional player than attacking player. So I feel as though I need to sit with some particular openings that cater towards these types of things. So I was typically playing, actually for the last 2 or 3 years, I was playing the caro-kann and the London. This last tournament, or this last week, I decided to make a change. I decided to start playing. I actually prepared for an opponent. I've never done this before. I prepared for against my opponent for this last week, and I prepared a Berlin defense. And he ended up playing the Scotch Gambit, which I will go over that game at some point. But I did lose in spectacular fashion because I was not expecting Bishop c4 on move 4, and then I was definitely not expecting e5 on move 5. So I was definitely right out of prep really quick, and I ran into a lot of problems. But Wilhelm Steinitz, 1836 to 1900, the first world champion, was a mad scientist. Beginning as an attacking player, specializing in gambits, as was the style at the time, Steinitz eventually realized that chess obeys certain rules and principles, and that a player, regardless of how brilliant, could not circumvent those rules and force through a winning combination if his game was not well founded. Yeah, I feel as though I've had a similar upbringing. When I was younger, I used to play a lot of gambits. I wanted to be super aggressive. I wanted to be like Bobby Fischer and Gary Kasparov. I found those guys to be extremely motivating types of players, and I wanted to be like them. So I wanted to be an attacking player, but apparently I'm not an attacking player. So I should just play positional skill, positionally and strategically, and just put my pieces on good squares and then calculate and try to make them checkmate me, and then take the advantage when they decide to give it to me. Steinitz's style changed into a positional and defensive one, in which he often accepted extremely passive positions to defend his theories, but also showed that brilliant results could be produced. His contemporaries initially didn't understand his play, seeing it as bizarre or even cowardly, but later his principles were accepted, and he is regarded as the father of modern chess theory. Well, that's pretty cool. Now, I don't know how many of you have taken this chesspersonality.com. It's really interesting. You can click through these. There's a whole bunch of different things. And I've taken this before, and I typically, when I do take this, I, on occasion, have gotten Emanuel Lasker, which is the surgeon. So I'm calm, calculating, positional, and sometimes I'd want to be aggressive. So I feel I'm somewhere in between the two. These three traits always seem to be the same. So I'm personally much more related to positional and calculating, but I'm probably somewhere in the middle between aggressive and solid. I want to be aggressive, but I feel every time that I do try to be aggressive, I end up my attacks are not sound. I try to. I usually end up blundering a piece because I didn't calculate properly, or I try to play a little bit more on feeling and intuition than actually calculating at times. But I feel as though I'm getting away from that, so I'm playing more solid, and I can be emotional from time to time because I have cleared the pieces, but that was in my teens and 20s. But now, in my later years, it's certainly not anything I do now. But as you can see, they do play similar openings. The Rui Lopez and the Queen's Gambit declined, so the orthodox defense. It's not something I'm going to play, but the Rui Lopez I really want to take a look at because it's much more. Um, there's a lot more tactics involved with it. So, all right, let's play some games and maybe we can get some people in the chat. So let's go to play and we'll see how this goes. Let's change our scene. Chess game board. Here we go.